Actually, she'd been working on this card for quite a while, a few months, and it was originally supposed to be in November, and my fight got scheduled for November, so we had to go to December, come back to October. We came back to October. It was going to be the 18th, and then because the Affliction card fell off the 11th, and there was 2 shows on the 18th already, we moved back to the 11th and filled the void. Picked up Haran and Pyle, who were supposed to be on that Affliction card, who are our guys, and we want to see them obviously after training camp be able to fight and take advantage of the situation. So all things considered, it worked out. Now our goal isn't to compete with Affliction or the UFC or anybody else like that. It's to create a platform that we're in control of, that we know the guys are going to get a fair shake. For those guys that are in that lower to mid-range fighting, trying to get exposure, get experience, and showcase them so that they can take the next step and move up to the bigger shows. So that's our goal.
How complicated is this type of show to put together? I mean, I know you've been training, so it's been mostly Kim's deal, but even a small show is no minor undertaking.
This has been all Kim's deal. I said a long time ago, after being involved in sport fight up in the Pacific Northwest, that I don't want to be a promoter. It's too much work. It's a lot of work. But Kim, coming from the casino industry and being executive host and all those things that she did, this fits her perfectly. She loves this sort of thing. She's very organized. She likes to see all this stuff come together and then see the finished product. That's what she gets a kick out of. And now, being a fighter herself, she knows what fighters need and feels, as a very strong passion for especially the guys that we train with. And so all those things facilitated her wanting to kind of get involved in promotion. This is her second event. She obviously fought on the first event that she kind of put together, which was the Arpalulo banner promotion, half boxing, half MMA. This is all obviously MMA, 9 fights. It's going to be good.
All right, let's go through the 5 of the main fights. You're not all extreme Couture guys, but many of the guys you're very familiar with. First of all, Gideon Ray and John Alessio. John Alessio's got a hell of a track record. He had a couple of shots in the UFC. He's a guy who took Diego Sanchez the distance and kind of looking to take that next step.
Yeah, and this is a catchweight fight at 167, which is the lowest John's ever been. He normally fights at 170, and Gideon's coming down after being on the TV show at 185, The Ultimate Fighter. It looks to be a really, really good fight. Gideon's got some good credentials. This is probably a big step up for him in the experience level that John's bringing to this fight, but I think it's going to be a really good fight.
Josh Dean's former reality guy, actually made it to the finals. Amazingly, when you look at the size of him, in terms of height, tough 3, lost to Bisping at 205, now fighting a little lighter. He's not as low as 170. He's fighting Sean Salmon, who's got some pretty good experience. Some of it negative in the UFC. Fell victim. Actually fought a really good first round before that loss.
Yeah.
This is a good fight.
Well, originally it was supposed to be Steve Byrne, and Steve sprained his ankle real bad, which the Byrne fight would have been a really cool, good fight for Josh. And an interesting fight, having both guys come out of the Ultimate Fighter the way they have. Sean, obviously a great wrestler from Ohio, and has had some tough fights in the UFC. Is a game fighter, likes to stand and bang, and that's Josh's kind of fight. So last minute replacement. Sean showing a lot of courage, stepping up and fighting a guy like Josh on a couple weeks' notice. So that's going to be a slugfest. Yeah, and Gasaway's obviously been in the UFC, fought some top-notch guys, very, very good stand-up fighter. Comes in to fight Pyle, who is, I think, one of the most underrated fighters around. Not a lot of people know what he's capable of. He's had a few chances here or there, and they haven't worked out his way to kind of move up into that upper echelon, and just hasn't made that step yet. So hopefully he'll get some good exposure here. Gasaway's a great test for him, and that's going to be a really good fight.
You're talking about probably one of the top 10 170 guys in the world, and he had a shot in the UFC, and he's kind of been climbing back, trying to build his reputation.
Yeah, I think the time that he was in the UFC, he fought some tough fights. He fought George St. Pierre. He had the tough fight against Jonathan Goulet, which he was dominating, but ended up with the cut that ended the fight. And so he just hasn't had some bad luck. I think the IFL was good for him, the team format where he didn't have to worry about being cut or any of that stuff. When I say cut, I mean kicked out of the promotion for not winning. He could relax. There was some security there, and I think we saw his skill level rise, and he shined there. Obviously winning the 170-pound title. He's got a great work ethic, and he's just a great fighter. I would love to see him fight Shields. I think that's a great matchup. With his wrestling background and now the striking skills that he's put together, it'll be a great fight. But I think first and foremost, he's got a guy with Kamaka that's fought some of the top guys in the business. And his record shows that. He's not been on the winning side of some of those, but he's still hung in there, and he's a game fighter. So it'll be a good test for Jay. He's looking forward to being back in the ring, being here in Vegas in his hometown. I think it's a good fight for him.
Give me a comment on what I was saying about Affliction working with Elite FC. I know you surveyed the landscape before you went back to UFC and checked out all the competition. Maybe that was some direction you may go in if the lawsuit had worked itself out. Can they work together on more events? And how important is it? Is it vital for them to work together, or can they survive on their own?
I really don't know what the situation is. I mean, everybody's been talking about Elite XC hemorrhaging money for quite a while, and it sounds like CBS after this last show may have just bought the company, and which will be a saving thing for them to have a platform like CBS to air mixed martial arts and Elite XC. Obviously, I don't think that fight card went the way they want. Gina Carano kind of saved the night as their poster girl, and their other poster child didn't fare so well in a 14-second knockout. But I think overall, as athletes, we need that competition. We need that other outlet to continue to get exposure, get paid, and make a living in fighting. So what happens with Affliction, I don't know. Giving away their main event like they did. Arlovsky is one of the top fighters in the world. I think he continues to demonstrate that. He showed that on the Affliction card. He showed that in the Elite XC. I'm sure that the UFC maybe feels like they should have worked a little harder to keep him in the family in the UFC. But what happens with Affliction moving forward, I don't really know. I'm not sure what's going to happen with them.
Great main event on this card. Intriguing. Hector Ramirez has fought at a high level. He's a multi-skilled guy, a wrestler. Does that give him an advantage against a guy like Rufus, who's unreal, fought to defeat one of the greatest kickboxers ever? Yeah,
I think because it's in a ring, it'll be a little harder for Hector to take advantage of the wrestling skills that he probably has over Rick. And Hector's demeanor. I mean, he wants to go in there and bang. He loves to put on a show. I mean, his fight with James Irvin in the UFC, he didn't have to go that way, but that's the kind of fights he likes. And so, that makes this a very, very intriguing matchup with two guys that like to go toe-to-toe and have great credentials. So anybody, it's a coin toss. With 4-ounce gloves, it's a coin toss.